Chaos is about to ensue our first official 2026 mock draft. We're going to be playing GM for all 32 teams. They tell me you got to dress the part to be the part. So I went and knocked the dust off my fancy tie in the back of the closet that I've never tied a tie, I think, in my entire life. So I really don't know what is going on here. I did sort of kind of look up a video that looks about as good as it's going to get. We're going to start with the Las Vegas Raiders all the way to the reigning defending Seattle Seahawks. Trades are going to happen, and we're starting with it at the beginning of the draft. We have the Las Vegas Raiders, who I would not draft Fernando Mendoza with one of one to save my life. And I'm not saying that he's going to be a bad quarterback. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bust. I don't think you take a quarterback when you have no wide receiver core. You have no offensive line. Your defense is an absolute shambles, and the best defender on your team wants a trade from the team. So there are a lot of holes. And I feel like by the time you patch all of them, you're going to be paying Mendoza $70 million a year, $60 million a year, whatever the QB market looks like when his contract becomes available. I just don't think the right time for the Las Vegas Raiders is right now to take a quarterback. So we're going to go ahead and propose a trade. We're going to go Las Vegas Raiders. And I was looking through the teams. I was like, who could trade with the Raiders to really, get something they need? And I was like, maybe the Arizona Cardinals. They've been vocal about moving off of Kyler Murray. Maybe the Miami Dolphins. They've been vocal about moving off Tua Tagovailoa. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons. They don't even have a first-round pick in the draft, so I have absolutely no clue what they would give up. Those are really I don't see the Saints moving. I don't see, obviously, Tennessee just got their guy. Indy, you don't know first-round picks to work with. You just gave up both of your first-round picks with, for a cornerback. So I think the Las Vegas Raiders are probably going to trade with the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to move off of one of one. The Cardinals are going to give them 3, and I think 34, and I think a first next year. I think we're going to propose that trade. That's going to go through. The Arizona Cardinals move up. The Raiders move back, and the Arizona Cardinals are going to be the ones that go out here and they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Kyler Murray. He's going to get moved at some point. You're not getting a first for him. I don't think you're getting a second for him. I think you might only get a fourth for him, maybe a third if you're lucky. Then we head on over to the New York Jets. Same kind of scenario. They were projected to get, what's his name, from Oregon. Before he was like, you know what? The Jets have the second pick. I'm probably going to stay in Oregon this year. They need help on a lot of levels. They need a quarterback. They need a D tackle, wide receiver, edge, safety. And we're going to look at what is best on the board right now. We're looking at Avril Reeves, who is one of the, I would say bigger named defenders on the board. I think they go Ruben Bain Jr. The edge defender is one of the most important parts, if not one of the most important part on the defense currently. Then we get back to the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to kind of address what we've been talking about. I think the Las Vegas Raiders go Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. You get your wide receiver. Your tight end's already solid. Your run game is already solid. You're going to work on your defense through the rest of the draft. You're going to work on your offense through the rest of the draft. This is a big name wide receiver who has a lot of potential. Carnell Tate has been compared to Justin Jefferson with his route running, with his size, and with his ability. I think that is a solid pick. Now you can go and get a younger QB in the draft. You might have to rock with Geno Smith one more year. You're going to be if you do that, you're going to be at the top of the draft again, which is fine. You're going to have 2 first-round picks next year. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans, who need a wide receiver, edge, cornerback, tight end, linebacker. Is Gunnar Helm just terrible? Why is tight end on here? I guess you can never have too many tight ends. This is another team that needs wide receiver help. And when I say desperately, I mean desperately. I'm not taking a knock at Alec Iamaner, but when that is your wide receiver one, I think they honestly even move off of Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley has never lived up to the potential Calvin Ridley is supposed to be. And I really don't know. What wide receiver do you go off the board here? I guess you go next best. I guess you go wide receiver Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. for the Tennessee Titans. I think that's a solid pickup. You got to get weapons so your quarterback that you drafted last year actually has someone to throw to. Next, we have the New York Giants at pick number 5. This is a team that needs a wide receiver. And do you really need a wide receiver? Like, you better bring back my boy Wandell, or that is the most disrespectful thing I have ever seen. You have Malik Neighbors coming back. This offense really is stacked and has a lot of potential. I think you keep building on the defensive side of the ball, unless you go lineman. I guess we could see what guards are best on the board. It does say guard, cornerback, tackle. Like, what tackles are on the board? You got a guy going 9. You got a guard going 19. What do the centers look like? I'm going to say they're going to go Spencer Fano, O tackle out of Utah. We're going to say the Giants are going to go tackle out of Utah. Your running back, Lord. Your quarterback already has problems getting out of the pocket, getting pressured, and having a run downfield, and you already know he likes to take hits. Get the man clean pockets so he can make the passes, so we don't have to worry about concussion protocol Jackson Dart every year. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns, who need just about everything on both sides of the ball. Do you need a running back? I would say, their run game is just, you're not taking a running back this early in the draft. It says they need a quarterback. Lord have mercy. If the Browns drafted quarterback here, I think I would actually throw up in my mouth. Quarterback, tackle, guard, wide receiver, center. You kind of got to go best on the board with the offense here. And that would be, best on the board would be, can we just get back on regular offense? Nah, they're not going to go. Ooh, what if they went Jeremiah Love, chat? I think you go OT, Caleb Lomu. O tackle out of Utah. You have 9 quarterbacks. You have to find a way to protect them somehow. Next, we have the Washington Commanders, who I think this is the easiest pick of the draft. You need an edge. You need a wide receiver. You need a tight end. You need a linebacker. You need a safety. The person I'm about to draft isn't any of those positions. I don't think Austin Eckler's not going to come back the same guy. Is Austin Eckler even going to come back? I don't think, what's his name? Bill. I don't think Crosby Merritt is that guy in that running back room. I think here the Washington Commanders go Jeremiah Love and they don't look back. You take a versatile running back to pair with your versatile quarterback with the solid wide receiver room you already have. You're going to build the O-line. You're going to continue to build the defense. Rome wasn't built in a day. I think Jeremiah Love is the best pick for the Washington Commanders, which actually at pick number 8, everyone thought the Saints were going to go, but with him off the board, you're looking at the team needs for the New Orleans Saints. You need an edge rusher. You need a guard, a wide receiver, a cornerback, or a tight end. I think you're going to go edge defender here. I think you're going to go David Bailey, edge defender out of Texas Tech for the New Orleans Saints. Solidify the defense. You already have a spark of glimmer in Tyler Shuck at the quarterback position. Your running back game, you're going to grab a guy down the line. You have to, because you're not going to bring back Alvin Kamara. There's just, again, I will say it, and I'm going to beat it into the ground. Rome wasn't built in a day. The Saints have a lot of positions that need to be filled. I think edge rusher right here is the best chance for them. Then we get down to the Kansas City Chiefs. Down in the comments, y'all let me know, when was the last time the Kansas City Chiefs picked top 10 in an NFL draft? And this is a team who, it's time to retool. You're going to need a guy at D tackle. You're going to need a guy at edge. I don't even know if they bring back, I can't even think of his name off the top of my head. You need a running back. You need a tight end. You need a cornerback. I think they're going to kind of fix the tight end position. They're going to bring back Kelsey. There are a lot of tight ends in free agency, so that's really off the board for me for a lot of these teams because there are a lot of big name tight ends that are going to find a home in free agency. D tackle and edge are probably the best positions still left on the board. But at the same time, you might be moving off of one of your offensive tackles or guards. I think the Kansas City Chiefs solidify that O-line because Patrick Mahomes has been getting banged and beat up, Lord have mercy. Patrick Mahomes has been getting banged up and beat down, all season long. We're going with Francis I don't know why I did that. I can't see as it is. Francis Mauigoa, O tackle out of Miami, Florida, at number 9. Then we get to our top And last, top 10 pick in the, obviously we're doing all 32, but this is 10 out of the top 10. These are the really crazy ones. We have the Cincinnati Bengals. They need a D tackle, an edge rusher, a safety, a cornerback, and a linebacker. I think the Cincinnati Bengals look at the defense and see what's best on board. I think you see Avril Reese, Caleb Downs, and you see Kendrick Falk. An edge, a safety, and a linebacker. Maybe you can throw Mansour Delaney in there at cornerback. I think you go Avril Reese. I think you just moved off Logan Wilson. I think you have to solidify that linebacker position. You got to get a captain on that defense that's going to rally this team together. You're going to keep working on the D-line. You're going to have to keep working on the secondary. Then we get to the Miami Dolphins. There are a lot of things the Miami Dolphins need to go right in this draft. You just moved off of Tyreek Hill. Potentially, what if, Waddle is like, you know what? I want to go to worst case scenario for the Miami Dolphins right there. You need a cornerback, you need a quarterback, you need a guard, a tight end, a wide receiver. I really think here you probably go wide receiver. I think they go Mekhi Lemon. Where's he out of? Out of USC. You're going to pair him with Waddle. You just lost Tyreek Hill. You really have to keep Tua Tagovailoa unless you find someone to trade that is going to potentially take some of his cap hit. Because if you release Tua Tagovailoa, it's like a 90 mil cap hit, something crazy like that. So I think the Dolphins do go Mekhi Lemon, USC wide receiver. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Let me go ahead and click on this defense real quick. Safety Caleb Downs was projected a top 5 pick, probably still a top 5 pick. I probably fumbled not having him go yet, but say he falls to the Dallas Cowboys. I think that is, and they have 2 picks in the draft. I think you take Caleb Downs. You don't look back. You're going to be able to get an edge rusher down the line. You can move people around. Caleb Downs is going to be your guy. If a top 5 pick drops to you at number 12, you're snagging him off the board. I don't care who it is. And the Dallas Cowboys need a guy to be a dog in the secondary so bad. They need a defensive leader back there that's going to go in and make an immediate impact as a rookie. And Caleb Downs is officially that guy. Next, we have the LA Rams. And I want to say when's the last time they picked in the first round of the draft? I feel like it was last year. They don't do it often. They haven't had first round draft picks for a long time. This is a team that has had problems in the secondary all year long. You saw it when they played the Seattle Seahawks twice at the end of the year. You saw it multiple times. You saw it against the Bears. You saw them breaking down in the playoffs, and it's because the secondary couldn't stop a nosebleed. The defensive line is insane. The secondary was the problem in the draft. I think you're going to draft Mansour Delaney, cornerback out of LSU, to help solidify that secondary and rein in a new era and compete for a ring for the LA Rams. Why are the LA Rams picking so low? Do they have 2 first rounds in this draft? Oh my Lord, have mercy. They have 2 first round picks. The Rams are going to be a problem. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens, which, Lord have mercy, we have questions about the Ravens. What's going to happen with Lamar Jackson? What's going to happen with the run game? They need a wide receiver desperately. Zay Flowers just isn't cutting it as a wide receiver 1 every game. Your defense, I will say I think they're going to go offense here. You got Jesse Minter. This is a guy that can take really, I won't say lackluster defenses. He will take mediocre defenses, decent defenses, and make them elite level defenses. So I don't think they go defense in round 1. I think they go offense. It says they need an edge, guard, D-tackle, cornerback, tight end. If you really needed a tight end, you would just bring back Isaiah Likely if you wanted to. This is going to sound crazy. I think the Baltimore Ravens go KC Concepcion, projected 24th at wide receiver. I think you got to go with him, right? No, maybe not. Maybe you look at what edges are left. Maybe you look at edges and you see there's still a guy that was projected top 10 in this draft in Keldrick Falk, edge out of Auburn. And you're like, is the Ravens our defensive minded head coach? Let's grab him up, Let's solidify this defense. Let's have Lamar go out there and work the magic he can work. And the defense is going to be amazing. I think they go edge rusher, Keldrick Falk. If I said your name wrong, I'm beyond sorry. Edge rusher out of Auburn. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need edge rushers. They need D tackles. They need O linemen so desperately bad. Maybe a tight end. Maybe K. Dotton doesn't come back. I think you look at this offense and you're like, we could go tight end. We could go Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. That's really, all these other tight ends, we're not even going to, that dude's projected 58th overall out of Georgia. We're not going to entertain anything past that. You're like, do we go tight end? We see this guard on the board projected at number 19. I'm not going to be able to say his name because I know y'all see that right there. You want me to pronounce that name? You have lost your absolute mind. Y'all want me to? Hold on. Olive Vega, the Bucks are drafting him. The Bucks just drafted him, boys. The Bucks just drafted an O guard out of Penn State. If someone can type an easier way to say his name down in the comments, do it for me. Offensive guard out of Penn State, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Olive Vega Lowani to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next, we have the New York Jets. Did they pick already? All right, we went edge rusher first pick with the Jets. They're back on the board. I think this is the Colts pick, number 16. They traded Sauce Gardner to get this pick. Right? Yeah. You're looking at the Jets. They need a QB, D tackle, wide receiver, edge, safety. I think you're going to look on the board. You're going to be like, we went defense already. But what if we just keep doubling down on the defense? There's still some solid D tackles left on the board. Speaking of solid D tackles, there's Peter Woods, D tackle out of Clemson, still on that board. We're going to draft him. We're going to solidify that D line, and we're going to keep moving forward. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. They need a guard or a center. Oh, they need a center desperately, and that's actually what we're drafting right here. I'm not even going to entertain any of the other positions. Oh my Lord, there's no good centers in the draft. Chat, there are no good centers in the draft. This Sam Hackett dude is projected 63rd overall. So the Lions need an edge rusher, a tackle, a guard, and a safety. Let's see what's best left on the board. Let's see if we have any good safeties left on the board. 36. I don't think Lions go there. You look at the an edge. Do we have any good edges left? 30th. I mean, you don't want to reach too far. You look at tackles left on the board. Are there any good tackles? 23rd. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle out of Alabama to the Detroit Lions. Lock me in. You need someone to protect Jared Goff, and I do have him winning MVP this year, so I think you go out there, protect him. You let him make the plays that he can make. That's another guy for your amazing running back in Jahmyr Gibbs to run behind. That is a solid pick for the Detroit Lions. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who are looking for a cornerback, a safety, a running back, a center, and a tight end. What cornerbacks do we have left on the board? What running backs do we have left on the board? They do need a running back, huh? Oh my good God. What? I mean, 50? 50? 50, chat. You're telling me there's one projected running back in the first round. 50? Are there any good safeties left? 36? We already looked at centers. What's best left on the board? Cornerback? Says they don't need a cornerback. Oh no, it says they do need a cornerback. We're going Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee for the Minnesota Vikings. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. They need an edge rusher, a safety, a cornerback, a tackle, and a tight end. Who's their tight end right now? Hold on. Let me make a phone call to their GM, even though I'm their GM right now. Panthers tight end. Is it Tommy Trimble? Oh my God, Tommy Trimble's their tight end. Offense, tight end. Sadiq. The Carolina Panthers at pick number 19 in the draft tight end Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Another massive target for Bryce Young, still solidifying that offense and moving forward to see if they can make him look like the first overall pick. First overall pick, right? The first overall pick that he was. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys back on the board. They need a line. Who do we draft for them first? Hold on. A safety. Caleb Downs, they need a D tackle or an edge. They need a D tackle or an edge. D tackle, edge. We're going to go Akeem. Are they going to... Do we see a... Hold on. Let me cook. Hold on, chat. Let me cook. We got a... Trade alert! Trade alert! We're going to cook here. Okay. I have it. Proposed trade. Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills. They're going to swap first. And the Dallas Cowboys are going to get an additional third-round pick. Boom. The Buffalo Bills are officially on the board after a trade with the Dallas Cowboys. The Bills, who desperately need help in the wide receiver room. Go KC Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. They get their wide receiver one, ladies and gentlemen. That is a massive pull for the Buffalo Bills. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is another team that needs a lot of positions. What quarterbacks do we? There's no way in my entire life Ty Simpson goes 21, right? There is no way. You just drafted Will Howard. There is no way the Steelers, bringing back Aaron Rodgers or not, you rock with Will Howard, right? He cannot be that bad. They need a wide receiver. They need a cornerback. They need a guard. They need a D tackle. And I think that's exactly why the Buffalo Bills jump the Steelers, because they know the Steelers they're like, oh, they're about to go KC Concepcion. We got to jump them. Let's trade with the Dallas Cowboys. You still got Denzel Boston. You still got Chris Bell. I think you have to go wide receiver no matter what you do here as the Steelers. I think the Steelers go Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. Next, we have the LA Chargers. They need a guard. They need a center. They need an edge, a D tackle, and a safety. I think you just keep solidifying. I mean, there's really no good guards left. The tackles are okay. You really don't need a tackle. You don't need a tackle at all. You look over at the defense, what safeties are left. You could get AJ Howley, however you say it. You look at the D tackles, the edges. You're like, I think you have to go Akeem Mesidero, edge defender out of Miami, Florida. And a little fun fact, I actually had the Buffalo Bills drafting him. So they trade back. They do lose their guy, but they do get, I had the Cowboys going, Akeem, whatever his name is. So they lose their guy, but there's still potential in this draft, and you pick up another draft pick. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, who need an edge rusher, a guard, a tackle, and a safety. I think they just go TJ Parker, edge out of Clemson, right? They need a linebacker. There's some linebackers dropping. Who needs a linebacker, chat? You could go D tackle. Do the Eagles need a D tackle? Not really. Offense tackle. We'll say they go Monroe Freeling. O tackle out of Georgia. They reach a little bit. He's projected 31, but the Eagles, they know what they need. They need a tackle. Lane Johnson's not playing too much longer. If this might even have been his last year, I'm not 100% sure. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns picking at number 24. They need a quarterback, offensive tackle, offensive guard, wide receiver, and a center. We already said there are no good centers left. The guards really aren't great. You need an O tackle. Maybe you look on the defense. Maybe you solidify that you really don't need a linebacker. You took what's his name already. Maybe you look at cornerback and you're like looking like who's best left on the board right now. And you draft Avion Terrell. They don't need a cornerback, but like when there's a guy like that left on the board, maybe that's just who you go. Next, we have the Chicago Bears, who had a really solid secondary this year. The defensive line had flashes. I think you could get a little bit better on it. I think you really go defense, or you could go tackle. Maybe you go tackle. You could go max. Dude, these names are getting crazy, chat. These names are getting crazy. Max Aaron Norcher. I don't like it. I don't like guys' names I can't pronounce. So they probably won't be drafting him. I think do the Bears need a linebacker? They do need a linebacker. They're going Sonny Styles. Bears, linebacker, Sonny Styles, lock me in, drops from 17 to 25, must have had a bad combine, not sure, hasn't happened IRL yet. We'll see. We'll do another one of these after the draft. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who just unfortunately lost the guy they were going to draft in Sonny Styles. They lost the edge rusher they were going to draft. You still need a cornerback, an edge, a safety, and O-tackle. I think you look at cornerbacks, you're like Brandon Sias. We can't solidify the D-line as good as we wanted to. We're going to go get Brandon. Oh, actually, yeah, we're going to go get Brandon Sias. We're going to get Brandon, cornerback out of South Carolina. Ooh, is that where what's his name? Their other cornerbacks from too? That might be pretty cool. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They need wide receiver bad. Like, I don't care who's on the board. Their only wide receiver left is about to be like Ricky Pearsall. So they're going to have to go like Chris Bell or Omar Cooper Jr. I guess we're just going to take best off the board. Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville. And when I tell you the Texans, if you draft anything other than O-line, you've lost your mind. You're going to go Max out of Arizona State. The Texans need O-line so bad. I have the Texans in the Super Bowl. And the only reason I have the Texans in the Super Bowl is I said you got to do three things. You got to solidify your O-line. You have to get a consistent run game. And CJ Stroud has to not be a little prick on the field and just make the plays that need to be made and just throw the ball away when the ball needs to be thrown away. That is the three things the Texans need to do to make the Super Bowl. And that is coming officially from LaGM Any Given Monday. Next, we have the LA Rams. Who did we go first for the Rams? We went cornerback out of LSU. You don't need a wide receiver. You're not going to be selfish. You don't really need a tackle. What if you go... Now, chat, hear me out, dude. Hear me out. The Rams are in a position where they have to solidify their quarterback spot. Yes, Matthew Stafford is coming back, but what about next year when Matthew Stafford is not coming back? What about when Matthew Stafford is... We're not putting Todd Simpson. We'll finish our rant. What if when Matthew Stafford retires, are you putting in Jimmy Garoppolo? Are you putting in Stetson Bennett? Or are you going to draft a young guy like Ty Simpson to take under his wing and mold him into a good... the Rams... Oh, my... I don't know what the Rams would do here. You have to go quarterback. At some point, I still think they're solid quarterback. I think Nussmeier wouldn't be a bad pick for the Rams. Not here, obviously not here. I'm just talking right now. I'm just talking. Get off running back. You don't go wide receiver. You don't go tight end. You don't go tackle. You go defense, right? Who's best left on defense? D-tackle Caleb Banks out of Florida. Welcome to the LA Rams, brother. Oh, I wish I could roll that pick back. Can I roll that pick back? No? Okay. Next, we have the Denver Broncos, who need a wide receiver, a tight end, a D-tackle, a linebacker, and a running back. Let's see who's best on best. CJ Allen, linebacker out of Georgia, is probably up there on the board. Offense, wide receiver Omar Cooper, but you can get him in the next round. There's really obviously no tight end. Maybe you go D-tackle because you're about to have to pay a lot of defensive guys. We'll go D-tackle. We'll go with the Denver Broncos taking Caden McDonald, D-tackle out of Ohio State. just because there are a lot of guys on their D-line that have to get paid. They're not going to pay all of them. This organization is not stupid. Next, we have the Super Bowl losers. Do you hear that, New England fans? Y'all are absolute losers. Who would I draft if I was the GM of the New England Patriots? Probably a quarterback. Just kidding. I mean, Drake May is going to be top. I want to say he's going to be top 5 one day. Maybe he's top 10. I don't know if he's top 10 right now. Say top 15. Edge rusher, linebacker, tight end, safety, and wide receiver. This is a team that's really going to need a wide receiver. Like I said, your next wide receiver can be taken in the next round. They need a linebacker. CJ Allen's still on the board. Your defense was looking solid. I think the New England Patriots draft CJ Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. Lock me in. Lock me in on that one. And last but not least, my rating. Defending Seattle Seahawks, picking at number 32 in the first round of the NFL draft. And I am happy to be sitting here in this GM position right now. We are going to need a cornerback because we're letting Tariq Woolen walk. Don't get it twisted. We're going to need a center. We need a guard desperately. We're going to need an edge. We're going to need a running back. Running back, there's a lot of good running backs left on the board. You're not going to go wide receiver right now. You look at the defense, you're like, you could go TJ Parker. You look at the linebackers, Anthony Hill is there. You look at, we'll say, what are the guards looking like? 40? I'm going to tell y'all right now, the GM in me wants to just trade back, but we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. This is the last pick. I kind of want to go guard. You know what I mean? Really no good tackles left. What are the cornerbacks looking like? This could be... What you looking like, gang? 5'11"? I like my cornerbacks tall, brother. Colton Hood, what you looking like? 6 foot? 5'9"? Lord have mercy. We're going to go Keith Aubrey because we're going to have to replace Tariq Woolen. I'm going to let y'all know right now. We're going to have to replace Tariq Woolen. Full draft results. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our first official NFL 2026 mock draft round 1. There's more to come. We're going to do another one, I think, after the combine. And then we're going to do one a few days before the draft, right after all the free agents are really signed, so we can really hone in on what everyone needs. Rate this mock draft on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being you should probably quit watching football. Down in the comments, let me see your mock draft. Hop in the Discord or put it down in the comments. Don't forget, like and follow.